talk about that, along with David Walker joining us this fun Friday, a HIVE live edition on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
You are Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute.
It's Locked On Hornets. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Check us out wherever you get your podcast. That includes YouTube, by the way. You can watch us there. That's where we are right now, going live. So if you go there, then you can catch us in real time. You can follow us on Twitter, Walker Mail, Doug Branson, LOH, David B. Walker, and Locked On Hornets, where you can catch the show. David, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. Not as great as that shirt you have on. Just an excellent choice for Fun Friday.
You know, one thing, I don't know if I'm sure people have noticed, but I'm a huge fan of the short sleeve hoodie. I like the look. It's
Underrated.
Comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, and it's comfortable and it's not going to make you hot. Like I'm a huge fan of it. I've got an MF Doom one that I wear, Charlotte Hornets one. So I'm all about the short sleeve hoodie.
Describe it for the
Sorry.
listeners.
Yeah. It's a Tribe Called Quest. It's a Tribe Called Quest.
There you go. It's the Low End Theory album cover, right? So you have that album cover on the front. And then here, I'm going to try to show you the back. It's just the Tribe Called Quest logo.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's a logo, boombox. Perfect.
It is. It's good. I know that was kind of weird for the listeners. So go to YouTube. If it's weird for you as a listener, go to YouTube and check us out there. Appreciate the compliment, David. And we're also going to get to White Men Can't Jump remake is coming out. I guess I didn't realize this, but that's something you brought to my attention, David.
Yeah, I heard rumblings and my fears were confirmed yesterday. So we can get into that.
Yeah, we can talk about that. I also want to talk about the ability, or at least the perception of the ability to play basketball in movies, in basketball movies. So we can talk about that later on as well. Let's start with the rebounding battle. Real exciting stuff, but Zach Lowe wrote about it in his 10 Things article. Comes out with it every single week. 5 things he likes, or it doesn't even matter how many things he likes and doesn't. It's just 10 things he notices. And he mentions number 4, quote, Charlotte's leaky defensive rebounding and mini identity crisis, ? Asking the question. Little Ron Burgundy action.
He's just asking questions.
That's all he's doing, Doug. You know about that. So here's what he writes. The Hornets are 3-11 since January 28th, costing them a chance to seize the number 8 spot as the Brooklyn Nets imploded amid injuries and melodrama. I don't think he meant
that juicy number 8 spot.
Yeah, that's what we're fighting for. I don't think he meant to put melodrama in there, and I think he stumbled upon a little bit of a pun with LaMelo. Anyways, nice job, Zach Lowe. So the Hornets' main culprit lately is bricky shooting, with one exception. They've fallen apart on the defensive glass. The Hornets' profile is a poor rebounding team, but more attention to detail could pull them within spitting distance of league average, as is their 29th in defensive rebounding rate. He talks about Mason Plumlee, Montrezl Harrell, how they're minus rebounders, and their best center might be when they go small with PJ Washington. And of course, he's really small at the center spot. They faced a bundle of offensive rebounding brutes over the last 10 games. That's what Zach Lowe writes. And he says LaMelo Ball might be their best pound for pound rebounder, which kind of true. It probably is. Miles Bridges was good, but I think LaMelo has really done a good job since he's come into the league. There's one clip he shows against Minnesota where he says if they pay attention to detail and actually boxed out and didn't ball watch, that they would get a lot more boards. And in this clip, everybody just turns and looks. Miles Bridges probably the most egregious offender here. Baseline, turns and looks, somebody just rolls on in and then taps the rebound. It's live until D'Angelo Russell catches it, shoots a 3, makes it. You know how that game goes in Minnesota. So the question is, they actually out-rebounded Cleveland, right? Weird stat. Jared Allen had 11 offensive rebounds the previous time they played, and Cleveland had 4 altogether in this past moment. Well, James Borrego said he feels like they could keep it up to some degree if they just continue to do all those little things, even though they're small. You know, what does that ratio look like of, okay, this is just an outlier. Charlotte had a good rebounding game. They're probably not going to do it much anymore. And how much of that do you kind of attribute to, well, wait a minute, they did kind of pay attention here and there. And, you know, some of that is legit. Doug, we'll start with you. Like, how do you think the Charlotte Hornets can continue to rebound at least league average or something close to it?
It's all up to them. I think I put the thumbnail for this YouTube video is the Hornets have a choice. They've had a choice all season whether or not to play defense consistently. They've because they have deficiencies. There's no doubt about that. And over the course of 82 games and over the course of a 7-game series, I believe those deficiencies, both in rebounding and defense, would be ultimately exposed. But they have a choice in terms of they could be in a better position than they are right now if they had chosen more often to play defense and be a physical rebounding team. But that's, and part of it is, some part of it is scheme too. When you push the pace, when you want to get out into transition, you do sacrifice a little bit in terms of defensive rebounding. We all lived through the Steve Clifford era of Hornets basketball that really put a focus, despite not having physical players. This was a good rebounding team, despite not having a lot of physical players during the Steve Clifford era, because schematically, they chose to sacrifice certain things in order to defensive rebound better. Now they're not sacrificing those things, and they aren't playing physically, and that's why you see what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's frustrating when you watch that Cavs game because you're like, okay, you can do this. This team can actually rebound, and that was a team that killed them to start the season, the Cavs, because of their height and so much bodies down low.
They're huge. They have 7-footers everywhere.
It makes no sense. I thought Jared Allen would have 11 rebounds in the first quarter. And maybe he did. I don't know. But, you see like Terry Rozier in the Detroit game, he almost won that game with a couple of big rebounds. And so Terry and LaMelo do seem to be, they rebound pretty well from their guard slots for this team. And it's even crazier to think that LaMelo didn't even play in the Cleveland game, basically. And they did so well on the offensive board. So you see them, but you can see it happening. That's the crazy thing. You can see it actively happening in the game. You can tell a difference between when they're locked in on defense and rebounding during the game. You can see it happening. And there was just an attention to detail. And what we've talked about so many times, these little things, and JB mentioned it, it's the box outs. It's holding the box outs. I guess they're kind of anticipating getting out on the run, maybe leaking out or trying to start the break on some of these, but they clearly cannot do that. They've got to put a body on a guy and box out. Because, Miles can obviously jump with anyone, right? So if he gets position and gets a body on someone.
That's the maddening part.
Yeah. So, Doug's exactly right. If that's what they want to do, it's not going to be something they can hang their hat on, I think. Towards, throughout the season. But in these little games and these wins they should have had, it's a big factor.
Yeah, when we say the team is young, when we say the team is immature, this is what we mean. When Terry Rozier says that it's good that they brought in Isaiah Thomas because he can show leadership on and off the court, that's like a weird thing to me. That like you would look to a 10-day Isaiah Thomas signing for that kind of leadership, but they are devoid of veteran leaders who are playing a lot and are and have that experience of like what it takes to make a team great, what it takes to achieve playoff success. They are very limited in terms of the people that they can rely on for that, because honestly, I think like coaching can only go so far. There is a value to having those kind of players on your roster that can communicate those kind of things, and the Hornets don't have it right now. They've got to address the center position. They've got to address some issues with depth, but I think they also have to address that in the offseason too, bringing in some players that know what it means to have playoff success, or they're not going to go very far.
Well, the other thing that's so maddening about Zach Lowe's write-up is that this is the second time we've read some piece from him criticizing the Charlotte Hornets' lack of hustle, because the transition defense is something we talked about too. You can't be a poor offensive rebounding team and also just not get back in transition defensively. Like, you got to do one or the other, either be excellent at getting back in transition or be league average.
You don't have to.
Well, they're proving that you don't have to, and you can continue.
You will just get smoked every other night if you don't.
The play-in tournament was made for them. You can still have some postseason basketball if you don't want to do both of those things, apparently, because Washington, nobody else, Zach Lowe writes, has any interest in winning because they're trying to tank, get a better draft pick, and Charlotte's going to be the beneficiary of that, even if they continue to lose games. But that's the problem. It's no rebounding, no transition defense. And again, it happened against Cleveland, boxing out better, We'll see if that can continue, but clearly there is some kind of capability to make this average. They're not going to out-rebound Cleveland. They play 10 games. Right. Cleveland's going to out-rebound them probably 9 times. It just makes the most sense. But can you close the gap? Can you not get out-rebounded by 20 like you get against Detroit, or 20 like you did against Milwaukee? That would be nice. Maybe make the gap 10 and you can get a win that way.
Well, and one of why I can already see what I'm about to do to Walker by saying this, but one of James Borrego's 4 pillars.
Oh, no.
Is
you brought it up. He said it. He said it. He actually said it.
One of his 4 pillars is establish an identity. And I think the only identity the Hornets have established this season is that at times they are very fun to watch. But I don't think that fun to watch equals playoff success.
I don't even know if that's an identity, right? I mean, I guess you mean transition and just flashy as well, but right. I mean,
I've made a career on it. Fun to watch. That's my whole thing.
Well, I guess that is an identity.
Just give him a little of this.
One thing I was going to say, Doug, to your point, like JB catches a lot of flack, and everyone deserves some blame for some of the stuff that's gone wrong. But I look at that Detroit game, and I'm just looking at one person to make one stop one time. And it doesn't happen.
One single person make one single stop.
If they do that, they win that game. And so at some point it does become a little bit on the players to just step up and say, I'm not going to let my guy score. We're going to talk as a unit. We're going to move as a unit, and we're going to prevent them from scoring. Hopefully we can get a rebound, which they couldn't in that game. But yeah, just one little note there, because I think JB, certainly sitting over there begging for a rebound or a stop or something, and he can only scheme so much with some of the lineups he's got out there. So these guys have got to lock in, and I think that's obviously a maturity thing, and we know that, but it's still frustrating to watch. It doesn't help in the moment.
Well, and one of the things too from James Borrego, just schematically, remember last year how every team they played had a chance to set their franchise 3-point made record against the Charlotte Hornets. And James Borrego was like, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to pack the paint because we don't have any big guys. And we're going to try to, we're going to give up a lot of 3-pointers that way. And now, they're not necessarily setting those franchise records. But like schematically last year, I thought that was a little bit of a problem because they just had so many open threes that they were giving up. And, now it's almost like now you have some more of the problems on the players for just not boxing out and not doing some of the fundamentals, if you will, of trying to go after a rebound. But last year it was like schematically, all right, JB, I'm tired of allowing every single team set 3-point records on us. At some point we can't be the team where everybody's like, all right, get your shots up because we're going to have plenty of open looks. And plus you still don't have a rim defender, right? Like, so it's not like they're stopping the paint either. We'll see exactly how they can address that this offseason because there's plenty of work to do, as we've talked about a million times via the center position. Let's talk about let's talk about Bet Online first. Football might be over this season, but basketball's full steam. Thanks, Doug. You are fun. For both pro and college hoops, from all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, betonline.net is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. It's not just basketball, by the way. Betonline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds. You have plenty of coverage and information on all of those sports. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Let's get to some YouTube comments coming up in the next segment on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
This is Locked On Hornets.
All right, so we've got Al, or we've got the question how. Like, how did Miles do that? Can you help us end this debate with so much, an unbelievable amount on the line?
Doug, I respect you to the nth degree, but Walker, I'm telling you, it was just, every single person who saw that reacted that way. Some of us just are tight, tighter than others, and I just had to release this from my body.
It's time for more of the Locked On Hornets podcast.
We appreciate you joining us on the Locked On Hornets podcast, watching us live on YouTube. We have some comments to get to that you wanted to get to, Doug. You picked some out from the last video or a couple of videos ago. We'll get to some live ones here as well soon. But Doug, what do you have for us first?
Yeah, I got to pull these up. I got to get the right share screen. But first, before
nice
we do
hat
that,
and shirt, Doug. Sorry, just had to call you out too, buddy.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, a little
Everybody
LaMelo
looks
shirt.
great.
Hoping for a bounce back weekend
fantastic
from my
today.
guy. David, I don't want you to get out of this show without addressing some of the controversial things that have happened this week. You don't get to come on this show and avoid the wrath of the commenter. So I want to know your take on LaMelo only playing 8 minutes, didn't have a field goal in the game, had the 4 fouls. Seemed like maybe he was sitting on the bench because of the foul trouble, but maybe a little bit more than that. Your thoughts as I get my screen share together.
Yes, one of the strangest things I've ever seen, I think, when I'm watching an NBA game, because historically you're going to see the main guy for a team go back in the game at some point.
Right.
So like I feel like I hear what you're saying on the teaching moment, right? Like, hey, you can't get all these fouls or you're gonna have to sit. I feel like
hold on now. Now I said that's what I speculated.
Right. Yeah.
That it was. I don't. You
weren't.
You didn't play the speculation sound for you though, Doug. So I don't know if that counts. Like we played it for me. I could speculate all day. We did not do that for you. What you said is etched in stone.
You're right. Hold on. I'll play it. I'll play it.
That's a startling piece of information if that is, in fact, turns out to be accurate.
Is that Anderson Cooper? I think that is Anderson Cooper.
That was Anderson Cooper.
We were trying to figure out.
Big friend of the show. Big fan of the show.
We were trying to figure out exactly what that sound was the other day we played it. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. So my speculation is that it was indeed a teaching moment. But I'm kind of with you, David. I'm not sure that was the right move necessarily.
I feel like the NBA has already put in, like JB doesn't have to do that. The NBA does that for him. He gets 6, he's got to go. Like you don't have to do it at 4.
Such a good point.
2 more.
They give you 6 for a reason.
Built into the game.
It's very true.
The punishment is built in. You don't need to step up and put more. So it's just very strange. Now look, 20-point lead. Fantastic. I do feel like the dig in the press conference was a little bit of evidence to that, though. He should be.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, for sure. That's why there wasn't any refuting it. Like he said, hopefully he'll respond. Respond to what? Like there's something there that he has to respond to.
Right.
It's you trying to teach him something is what it seems like. We've already played it. It lasts for a segment. That soundbite's good, so we can speculate all day long.
Right. We can continue. Yeah.
But
that's the law.
But that's the
YouTube
thing,
law.
though. When you talk about responding, it's like, oh, he'll be well rested. It's like that's the part where it's like, all right, JB, we do want to keep this guy a little bit. We don't want to ruffle the feathers.
And it is weird. I mean, LaMelo does need to watch it. I feel like the league-wide thing though is the grab, like to stop the fast break. I feel like he picks up one of those just out of habit or reflex at least once a game.
Oh, it's a problem.
Yeah. So I hear him, but man, I wonder, I would hope if that would have been a close game, he would have gone back in. I mean, Terry was cooking, trying to get Isaiah, in the flow of things. I guess you could talk yourself into that, but it's bizarre.
That's my speculation, and I will recklessly speculate that all day long. I think he does not do that if this is a tight game or if he thinks they might lose it or if they don't have a 20-point lead. There's no way he's doing this. And because he had the opportunity to say, look, LaMelo, we're winning right now, and you can't foul 2 minutes into a quarter every single time. I mean, he's fouling a minute or 2 minutes coming into the game every single time that he entered against Cleveland. So it's like, dude, you got to stop it. But to your point, totally agree. You don't see those guys play 8 minutes. It's jarring. Right. Like you go to the box score and to see LaMelo, you think immediately he got hurt, and you think he got hurt in the first quarter. You don't even think he got hurt in the second because it's LaMelo. Like he probably logged 8 minutes before you even got to the second quarter.
And you're coming off a game where he played him in garbage time when they were losing. So there's really,
so weird.
Right? There's no rhyme or reason
weird
to it.
Which and I hated that way more, by the way. I don't risk the injury to the best player. I hated that.
Okay, I've got my comments ready. So we had some good comments this week. I scoured the comments for some good
mixing it up,
good stuff that we can talk about. Yeah, I mixed it up a little bit. I get in there every once in a while. All right, so this is the first one from JD3000. Can you guys check with Charlotte Police? Where's James Bouknight? He should be on a milk carton by now.
I think we've checked with the Greensboro Police, right? Confirmed.
Oh, yes. I think it. Well, yeah, that's true. It probably should be the Greensboro Police. I don't.
Yeah, it'd be the first place you
anymore.
want to stop is the Greensboro Swarm.
Have you checked the Swarm? Have you checked there? Because that's where.
Yeah,
James
it's
Bouknight
interesting
is.
though. I think a lot of people were confused by the Isaiah Thomas signing. You know, why not go James Bouknight instead of finding a backup point guard? You know, obviously there's some kind of injury issue with the neck soreness.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's so I saw that comment too. Like I saw a couple people asking why is Isaiah Thomas coming in? I'd rather have James Bouknight play. I totally agree, by the way. But there is neck soreness. There is neck soreness for him. I don't know how long that's going to linger. It is just a 10-day contract. We'll see if Isaiah Thomas plays well enough to get a second one, a third one, whatever. But people that were saying James Bouknight isn't a point guard, you got to play him more at 2 and combo. You don't want to give him that much ball handling.
How do we know? I feel like we don't really have enough evidence to.
Well, he probably does profile more so, you know, not as the lead point guard or lead facilitator. Let's just give him some run there. Like I'd rather just give the rookie right. You know, especially when we're talking about, you know, Isaiah Thomas. Look, he put up a lot of shots. It's awesome to see him score 10 points in that first game back, but he also scored 10 points and 11 shots. So it's like, let's just go ahead and let James Bouknight put those things up. You know, like that's if he's hurt, fine. Like you need another ball handler, so you don't have to put LaMelo in the last 4 minutes, especially if Cody Martin's still banged up and you're trying to rest him, whatever. But I get those commenters' points. Like, let's just roll with James Bouknight. The only saving grace for Borrego in that instance, or Mitch Kupchak, is that he's hurt. We don't know how hurt he is.
Well, look, if you're in the Spectrum Center and you're smart, you put Bouknight in, you slap a picture of James Borrego right on the backboard, and you say, "Go get it."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's gonna. Well, let's not punch the glass. Like I don't want to. He's gonna.
No, it's just you just want to go forward, go forth, young man.
That's right.
Attack.
All right. What other comments do we have?
Okay, let's get. I only have one more that I found I found somewhat interesting, and it was this one. And let me enhance.
Okay, nice background.
Enhance.
Oh wow, there you go.
That's
your boy though.
Oh,
like that.
Oh no. Okay.
I'm
About that
running it.
coach.
Well, why? Of course, Doug would choose this
Big
one.
Boy 22. I noticed Walker will not say anything bad about the coach. So Walker, this is your opportunity. You can say something about his hair.
He didn't like the garbage time play.
Oh no, yeah.
Sideline.
Like that's what's hilarious. One, thank you, Doug, for bringing this up. That's great. Second, this came the episode that you dogged James Borrego for doing this teaching moment, and then now, like I know, I guess you did. You did dog
the right
him.
Move.
Yeah. No, wait. Oh wait. No, excuse me. That's right. You did. I'm sorry. You dogged you dogged LaMelo commenters saying like, well, you know, of course you guys are gonna, you know, say JB's in the right, but you were saying JB was in the right, is what you were saying. Like,
I'm just saying,
for me,
you need to be objective, Walker.
Yeah, thank you.
You're a little too sub. You're a shill for the team.
Well, look, when he's coming over for dinner later, I'm not going to dog him on this podcast because I want to make sure that he feels comfortable. You know, I mean, me and him, we're boys. He is my favorite. Like, I do think he'll be Greg Popovich one day. I think he'll be that good.
Whoa,
so
huge.
Yeah, it's going to be a successful career for JB. All right, let's take a break. Do you have any more YouTube comments? That's it. You want to bring anything else up, or do you want to move on to the next segment?
Let's see. Let me do some scrolling. I'm scrolling. Let's see. Frax says JB is trying to be Pop. Jam Will says Kelly Oubre played 28 minutes in that game against Cleveland and had 4 fouls.
And it came later. I mean, yeah. Didn't come in the first quarter.
Bird D every day says Melo makes those young player fouls all the time. He compounds the initial mistake into a bigger mistake.
Okay.
I'm scrolling.
I just think at this point, like, okay, he's gonna foul. I mean, just play him. You know, like if he fouls out, he fouls out.
I got one here. MJ should be the coach, says Bove Outdoors.
You know who is good at basketball? Michael Jordan.
I think there's equal parts zero interest on both sides for that happening. I don't think MJ wants to step out there, or he wants to step on the court, but I don't think he wants to be a coach to hand out. No way. And I don't think these guys. Good Lord, can you imagine the evisceration that would come on a daily basis when you don't box out, or you don't do those little things? I mean, they would be broken.
Yeah,
I'm scrolling.
He's going to treat them all like Scott Burrell is what he's going to do, and smack him upside the head like Malik Monk.
Scrolling. Oh, I got one here. Danny on the chat says availability is the best ability. Whatever value Hayward adds is neutralized by the number of games he misses. Time to move on and see if we can consolidate his contract into multiple pieces.
Sure, like that. That's the thing with Gordon, right? Like I think he provides value when he's on the court, but it's also when he's on the court. You know, this was the problem with the contract too. You knew how old he was when you gave him a monster contract, and like you do rely on him a lot. This is the one thing that kind of makes the timeline weird for Mitch Kupchak and the Charlotte Hornets. When they signed him, I didn't like it, but you knew he was going to be good for the team, at least solid, and that's what he's been. And then when he's hurt, though, they go completely south. Like that's the tough part. You got to find a way to replace Gordon Hayward because you can't rely on him to stay healthy. You just can't do it. I mean, remember last year the injury lingered, and we thought he was going to return before LaMelo and some of the other guys, and eventually just never happened. That's not a good sign, especially as he continues to be out indefinitely and continues to miss more games.
Yeah, and he's going to take as much time as he possibly can, especially with anything having to do with his legs. Understandably so. I mean, his foot almost fell off, when he was in Boston. True. So, I mean, I get it. He's an older guy. He wants to make sure he's absolutely 100% before coming back. I'll say this. It would be a big boost if he could come back, as they get closer to, whatever this play-in situation is going to be, because they're clearly better when he's out there. So, yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything recently of you guys. I mean, I haven't heard anything he's getting closer to getting back on the court.
No, have not. Hopefully he can. Doug, why are you laughing? There's something you want to bring up. Why are you laughing? Why are you smiling?
No, I'm laughing and smiling because I have a good time on this show, and I want to continue to scroll on the comments. So share your thoughts, share your questions, share your comments on the YouTube channel because I like scrolling.
I'll say this: it wouldn't be a Hornets team if we didn't have someone that was just making too much money and not playing enough, right? I mean, where do we be?
Now, talk about identity. I think that may be the franchise identity.
Well, look, I mean, we're always going to have that stretch provision on Nick Batum's contract. We still are paying him right now.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly. Hang that. They should just hang it up like a banner in the Spectrum Center. Like instead of retiring a jersey, we should retire the day that we don't have to pay Batum any more money.
I want to do that.
We should actually hang.
Oh, they're looking forward to it.
Contract in the rafters.
So the all finesse team put their jersey in the rafters. We can go like Tyrus Thomas, maybe a Ben Gordon. We can go Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward.
Frank Kaminsky.
He didn't make a big contract though. Like he just got drafted first round. I want people that got paid. This team. Yeah,
I just thought you wanted people that disappointed us greatly. I thought that was...
Well, I mean, do we have enough time here, guys?
Yeah, we need another center. We'll just go to the Bojangles Coliseum after the Spectrum Center is filled up. All right, let's talk about Built Bar. You want to do it, Doug? Do you want to talk about that now?
Let's do it.
All right. This is the time of year that I've pretty much given up on my New Year's resolutions, especially if it comes to being fit. I'm the guy that's in the gym for like January. Then I pretty much quit. But Built Bar, it helps you out because it's so healthy for you, but also it tastes really good. 100% real chocolate. They've got so many really good staples. Banana cream pie is really good. They've got like the limited flavors. Oftentimes they're the puffs, the marshmallow type flavor. They're light. They're really good, low calorie, high protein, and they're also high in fiber. So go to built.com right now. You can use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Again, use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Let's talk about the remake of White Men Can't Jump coming up next. Locked On Hornets podcast.
This is Locked On Hornets.
And listen, as long as you play James Bouknight, a win will always be in sight.
Thanks for making Locked On Hornets your first listen every day.
Right?
We are free and available.
They'll show some fight.
On all your platforms. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets, your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs.
It's time for more of the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Are you still scrolling the comments, Doug? Would you like to bring anything else up? Are we getting anything live coming in? Or is there something else that you wanted to bring up too? I know you had some.
This is important. We have someone that is admiring, Amber is admiring my hat collection. Can we get a bonus episode to get a deep dive of all of Doug's Hornets?
Great idea.
Bobcats hats. I'm going to disappoint you. I don't have a ton of Bobcats hats. I have one Bobcats hat, but I really started the Hornets hat collection.
It's called his Bob hat.
You only have the one Bob hat,
hats.
but I do have quite a few Hornets hats. Yeah, we can stroll down hat memory lane. I got a lot of good. I have one signed by PJ Hairston.
Those are people that counts as somebody that like maybe not massively, but certainly disappointed you.
Well,
people wanted him to work badly.
Well, for people who go to the Spectrum Center a lot, every year, or at least they did it for the consecutive years that I had season tickets, they would offer a lot of signed merchandise at the end of the season. They were just trying to like get rid of stuff. So they would have it out in the concourse and you could buy, a hat for like $5 that was signed by, randos.
Muhammad. Yeah.
And so I think when I bought it, PJ Hairston was like 2 years removed from the team. But I got it.
There you go. We can go show
They'll
and
never
tell.
take it away from me.
We can go show and tell if you want to at some point, along with Wes. All right, David. I know you are not happy with the remake of White Men Can't Jump. I don't even know who's in it. I didn't even know this was going to be a thing, but apparently it is, and you saw it yesterday.
The big question: can they still not jump?
Yeah, I mean, that has to be. I guess maybe this. I don't know. It's not a sequel. It is a reboot. So Jack Harlow has been named in the Woody Harrelson role of Billy Hoyle, and I think reading into it a little bit, I think he impressed in the audition. Apparently, I was surprised to read that he impressed during the Celebrity Game at All-Star Weekend recently. Guys, I was scanning the Celebrity Game. I don't think I watched that much of it, but apparently he represented himself well there. So like you're concerned for playing basketball on film, maybe that's a bonus for him. I just think, look, some things are sacred. Some things are preserved in time. This is a quintessential 90s basketball movie, sports movie. I think it's near perfect. I don't know why. I don't know how they're going to do it, Doug. I mean, you have seen this movie. This is one of the 90s basketball movies you have seen, correct?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it.
Yes.
It's an interesting. It's one of these 90s movies that doesn't have just like a real tight narrative. It just kind of goes all over the place and then ends. I just feel like it feels like a movie that was kind of written on the fly. But it is a fun little street basketball kind of movie.
Man, I think it's one of the best maybe the best basketball movie up there, certainly in the conversation for me. I've watched it many times, and just like you talk about someone that really cannot play basketball, it's the other star of this film, Wesley Snipes. He's not a good basketball player.
So pretty. It really ain't pretty.
It's so
Wesley.
pretty. I know, but that's part of the charm, right? You can see like there's no reason to do a reverse layup and slap it over your head when you can just do a normal layup. But that's Wesley. That's
so
Sidney
apparently
Dean.
he had to really work at playing basketball.
Yes,
Is that
he
right?
did.
Okay,
yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
but the thing you love about this movie, I think there were tryouts, there were scrimmages, there was stuff all up and down Hollywood for guys who could actually play to get into some of these games, and I can't remember if like Wesley and Woody, they have a good chemistry too. I mean, that's the other thing. Those guys are great on screen together. From Wildcats to Money Train, and certainly this film. So you're just gonna have a hard time capturing that.
Here's the question that I would like to throw out to everyone in the comments and the YouTube comments too, but to you two fine gentlemen. What is your favorite indicator in a movie or television piece of fake basketball? Like something you see in a movie or TV, you go,
I immediately comes to mind.
That's not real.
Dunking. So they can never get the flow of the dunk right for whoever it is, because a lot of actors obviously can't dunk because it's really hard. And so when they try to have somebody jump up and then they go from the ground and have the camera angle shooting up to the guy about to slam it, the flow is never right. He's dunking still on the way up. So we're like, he's dunking like this. And it never looks right. Like Mike, it was awful. It's such a kid movie. I get it. But it's also, even then, like I'm 7 years old watching it, like, wait, this is hokey, man. Let's get this a little bit more smooth. The other one is, of course, my favorite botched basketball scene ever is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where they're playing on a court that is like 50 feet long, and they pull up from half court shoot 3-pointers at normal range, and the goal looks like it's the goal that you put on the YMCA. And so that's my favorite. And because Will Smith lost the game, even though he goes for like 50, he loses the game by 1 point, and that's why he doesn't play D1 basketball. That's my favorite part about that basketball scene. Because he lost, he doesn't get to play D1.
Yeah, I feel like scouts would have overlooked that. Someone would have given him a ride somewhere. Not that he needed
probably.
It, but, have you guys heard about the remake?
The comments are coming through on this one. David, go ahead. But I've got some great comments.
Have you heard about the remake? They rebooted the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, speaking of reboots, on
People
Peacock.
like it.
And there is supposedly some more basketball goodness in there. I haven't seen it, but I've heard stuff talking about it. And
goodness as in badness. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yes. I think the Hall of Fame, the one that it all starts with, is the Teen Wolf. I mean, Michael J. Fox is dribbling around there, with his head cut off, and they use the same shots multiple times, which, at this point it's charming, and I love it. But you mentioned the dunking. Woody at the end of White Man Can't Jump, spoiler alert, he dunks. I think it's 9 feet though. It's definitely not 10.
Flow isn't right for him either.
Get the tape out. All right, Danny on the chat saying dunking for sure. Billy from Stranger Things does not have those type
Oh, God. Thank you. Yes. Great call.
Brother Eden Douglas says close-ups just to get the scene, never full court. Yeah, they don't show a lot of full court stuff in the TV or movies. They just got to get that shot. Reese Powell saying some guy on the bench ripping off his button-up warm-up pants and running into the game.
You don't see that. It's very lackadaisical if you see it in real life. They're not really inspired to just pull that thing off.
Just one of these numbers, like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't really see that. I'm trying to think of what are some legit basketball movies where people can actually play.
Well, can I give my favorite indicator? Because I've said it many times on the show, but I know we have a lot of new listeners and a lot of new viewers. And I can show it to the viewers, but it's the basketball movies that have the guy that's dribbling like this, like way up high.
Right.
It reminds me of musical style.
Yeah. It reminds me of Sanaa Lathan in Love and Basketball. I mean, that thing is up to the shoulder, and honestly, she's not as bad as I think everybody else makes her out to be. She had to learn all of it too. She wasn't a good basketball player. My favorite part is her in a transition opportunity where there is just a wide open lane. She stops with nobody in front of her and shoots the three. And she was just ahead of her time. Like at that point, that would have never happened. And now maybe it does if you're shooting like Steph.
Amber says in Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox jumps during his free throw.
Yeah, well,
that's a great one.
He's got to get it all the way to the basket.
He's a wolf.
I know. He's the
not during the wolf does it. I mean, the wolf's going from the free throw line. And I'm talking about,
Well, did we see the wolf? See, that's what we missed in that movie. We needed to see the wolf do some fundamentals. Like we didn't see the wolf. We need to see the wolf doing some free throws, making some inbounds passes.
The wolf was good. I mean, and that's the thing. He was a former D1 player. The guy who stepped in.
The wolf was good, but we didn't see him did we see him in the playoffs? I feel like those were all regular
state
season
championship.
games.
Well, he got him to the playoffs. I mean, then Scott came back for the championip, of course.
That's
we're going
that's
down
what I'm saying. I think the wolf
Yeah.
crumbles in postseason play.
I can't think of it. Yeah, he didn't want any of that. He's an all good stats, bad
Regular
team
season
guy.
all-star.
Talk about if that movie had come out today for sure.
There was one television basketball experience that I thought was extremely realistic, and it was One Tree Hill.
Yes.
When the player made the Bobcats.
Great call. Yes.
And he looked awful, which I thought was just extremely realistic for that era of Bobcats.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it made sense. I will say one thing for this White Man Can't Jump reboot. Kenya Barris is writing and involved in creating this. He's done Blackish and a bunch of other good stuff that I really enjoyed. So I'm putting my faith in him, and hopefully, this creative team understands what they're dealing with. I'm sure they do, but it just a bold move. I mean, everything's getting remade now. I will say, I love reboots. I love checking them out, see what people can do with them. But this one just hit close to home.
Danny on the chat says, I refuse to believe that John Stamos is as bad at basketball as he pretends to be on Full House.
No, I believe
that's
that.
one of the hot spot. I used to, when I would play pickup basketball, I would just scream hot spot from that scene and miss it terribly.
I love that the person you would go out, everybody else is imitating their favorite shot from an NBA Finals, and Doug is out here imitating John Stamos in Full House in the driveway.
Hot spot.
That's who I want to be like when I grow up. Uncle Jesse.
I'm out there dribbling like this and going, Uncle Jesse, hot spot.
This is how you basketball.
I would,
here.
I would be remiss if we did not mention Beverly Hills 90210. Brandon Walsh tried out for the varsity team early on there and just, had a couple of spark plays, had a steal or two, took it the length of the court. Just not very realistic. It was Teen Wolf level, but everyone can shine in one tryout.
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah,
we're having fun here.
I do like, I'm looking up some of the other movies here. John Tucker Must Die. There was some pretty awful basketball in that as well. Yes, I have seen it. He Got Game, like Denzel. Like, what did we think about Denzel?
Denzel was pretty good.
I thought he was fine too. Like, I didn't think he was that bad. I didn't believe him as a basketball player. That's the problem. Yeah, Travis Best was had an excellent appearance in that movie.
Doug, do you recall the show that we did a whole episode on this show one time about that Netflix show? Remember that show? They had a basketball scene that was just horrid, and it prompted us to do like 20 minutes on it.
Oh, 13 Reasons Why, I think. Yeah.
Yes. I can't remember exactly what happened, but it was enough for both of us to need to talk about it. It was so bad.
Well, I do remember there was one particular scene where they had an inbounds play, and I swear to you, no one moved. It was just like the weirdest thing. Like, it was everybody just kind of like, trying to get position, but no one moved. Like, someone get open for the inbound. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's a recurring theme. I want to talk about this 6 months from now because it is such a good topic, talking about bad basketball movies, and we'll see what kind of reboots allow us to do so.
Through. That's what I'm talking. I love the
comments. They have anybody that was good? Anybody say? I think Hoosiers has got to be the best because it works because it's back in the 50s.
Coach Carter got a vote for decent basketball.
I was trying to think of some of that Coach Carter stuff. Like, there's a lot of dunking in high school. Like, just probably a little unrealistic. I don't feel like some of those guys could shoot as well. And Coach Carter's son, didn't believe him as good of a basketball player as he was. Maybe I don't know. I could be wrong.
I would vote for the current Lakers as a great fake basketball team.
In Hollywood? Yeah, they need to stop. Who's the director of all of that? It's a real problem out there and what they're doing. All right, thanks for joining us. I think he did
Space Jam too.
No, not believable. I mean, in special like Space Jam, when Michael Jordan stretches his arm half, like, nobody can do that. So
I thought that was extremely realistic. That's the GOAT you're talking about.
I know.
You know who is good at basketball? Michael Jordan.
Thanks for making Locked On Hornets your first listen every single day. Make sure you have a great weekend. Hopefully you guys have one. We'll be back with you on Monday. Also, make your second listen Locked On NBA. Locked On experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Thanks to David for hopping on with us this fun Friday, and thanks to you guys for tuning in wherever you get your podcast as well as YouTube. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with you Monday.
More Thor.